in the arms of the angel. Fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room, and the endlessness that you fear. You are pulled from the wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort here. Is that good? No? Okay.
All right. Hi, Aim.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
You look like you've been getting a little too much sun out there at the beach.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Better wear sunscreen next time we video. When you're in Ireland, is it?
Yes, that's where I am in
Okay.
Ireland.
All right.
Yeah.
So how was your week?
It was pretty wonderful. My daughter got engaged, which I was
okay.
aware of. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I had it written down.
I think you
They've
told
been
me about
dating
that.
for 2 years, but I wrote down they will be getting married between this date and this date. And then I hid it, so I didn't tell anybody. And then he called me, he goes, I want to ask this weekend. I said, just go for it. He goes, but what if it rains? I said, it's not going to rain. Don't worry. So no, the whole thing, it was really fun. And it was, they sent me a video. You just could hardly see it or hear it, but they had it behind waterfalls, and he bent down on one knee and proposed. So it was very cool. I miss her. So she moved. I don't get to see her that often, but yeah, we usually call exactly when we're thinking about each other. That's one of the things.
She might have it too, huh?
Yeah. How about you? How was your week?
Well, not quite as exciting as yours. Afraid my 91-year-old dad, who was a singer on the first show, which actually
He's fabulous.
he is. Thank you. In case I forget, we are looking for singers. We're going to try to put different people in the beginning of each of our show. So if you don't have to be an expert or anything else, we take everybody. So just email us, a tape, a 60-second tape of some singing.
Okay.
But I was going to say about my dad, he unfortunately got COVID after the second shot.
Sorry.
From an aide, but thankfully he's doing okay. And so I stayed with him for the last 9 days, and just getting home to a messy house. But
did your dad get the shots?
He had both shots and still got it. Yes.
So that's interesting.
Yep. So I have to tell you a neat psychic thing that happened to me this week.
Okay, I'm excited.
Thank you. I was getting my hair done, and my ADD, I was getting bored because it was processing. So my hairdresser was somebody else. So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, all right, maybe I'll try to get her, channel her grandmother, because I've been able to get her in the past. So I'm sitting there in my brain trying to get grandma. And all of a sudden I look to the wall, and there's this little, it looked like a star, a little light on the wall. And I'm like, and I took a double take, and I saw it again for a split second and then disappeared. This has happened to me only about 4 or 5 times. Of course, I looked around the room. Are there flashlights, strobe lights, any explanation? No explanation. Then my hairdresser walks over. I didn't tell her what I was doing. And she goes, what perfume do you wear? I go, I don't wear perfume. And she goes, that's so weird because I smell my grandmother. I go, that is really weird. I get chills even telling the story.
But you have that was clairvoyance and clairaudience. You were you saw the visual, and you also heard. So that's very interesting.
Oh, what's the smell? Yeah, she smelled.
Clairsentient would be when you smell things. I had one where I actually said the perfume. I said, did somebody wear Elizabeth Arden. I heard the name Elizabeth, but I smelled the perfume. I'm just
Right.
not I just don't know what the smell of that actually would be,
Right.
but that's what the grandmother wore. So I smelled weed the other day when I did a reading. Weed, cannabis, pot, whatever you want to call it.
Was it your husband?
No, so strongly that I said, "Who's smoking weed over there?"
No way.
And I don't know. So either she didn't want to say it, or
Right.
oh, listen, anything we could. I could smell cigar smoke, cigarette smoke, but this was definitely weed. How do I know? I'm
Lucky
not
you.
saying.
You're
Yeah,
saying?
I don't know. I've smelled it before. That's all. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
The that was a very strong one. When I had the Italian sub one, that was very strong. It's so strong that you can't deny it. I'll say, "Who's cooking?" Somebody's cooking something. No one's cooking. So
Oh,
yeah,
so you'll have it when you're not even doing a reading, you're just walking around and all of a sudden,
yes,
oh, interesting.
yeah. But mostly during readings, I'll have that feelings of something physically
Okay.
or smell or whatever. They'll take whatever they want to do,
Right.
to get the message across. The spirit will do that because
Now,
they want.
sorry. So most of the time, if you're doing a reading and you say, I smell whatever, garlic, would you say most of the time the person you're reading will have a connection with whatever it is
Yes,
you smell? Okay. All right. Very interesting. I don't have that very often. That's very unusual.
pipe smell. That's something you could work on because everyone always has a higher or more developed
Mhm.
so clairvoyance, seeing, whether it's like looking at a movie, whether it's the little lights that you saw.
Right.
Sometimes it looks like a heat type of wave. Sometimes it looks like I actually see a person, like I'm looking at you right now.
Mhm.
It's swirly smoke, like it's very fast because their frequency is much faster than ours. So it almost looks like it's spinning.
Oh, that
Sometimes it
makes
could
sense.
look like colors or auras. The clairaudience is hearing. So you might hear songs, you might hear voice, somebody speaking. Sometimes it might sound like an entire party going on in the other room. So sometimes I'll say, well, maybe I'm hearing knocking because the cats knocked something down. Then it's really loud and you can't deny that that's the sound. If you see the lights flickering, like you said, or the fan starts going and then we
Oh,
realize you have a call
I do.
or a person. Hello?
Well, I think we just missed a call.
Okay.
So we're waiting for one of your clients. Has it been a long time client to call back?
As far as, well, we can call them clients, readies. I think he just got voicemail, so he's going to try again.
Yeah. Okay.
I
And
hope. He's got voicemail. I don't know why he got voicemail, but
I know why I fixed it.
okay. So
Technology is not my friend.
it's not my friend either. I have to tell you. I have to tell you. So we do the best we can.
Yep. Okay, we have Jonathan on the line, and Jonathan is a client of the blonde Amy. And
Right.
what I
Hi.
love the most about Jonathan is that he was a skeptic. So, hi, Jonathan.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
Great.
And hi,
Would
Jonathan from Miss Amy.
you would you mind telling the audience about how you met Amy and about some of your experiences with her?
Absolutely. So I had my loss in June, and a buddy's mother who regularly uses a medium at random suggested that I reach out to one. She found Amy's information, but it was in a Facebook group, and then gave it to me. So I emailed her on a Friday night, said, hey, I lost somebody. I'd like to do a reading. 2 p.m., that means the angels and guides are with us.
Oh,
2 is a very important number for you, or the month of February. My son, who's the one I lost in June, his birthday's February 15th.
oh my gosh.
So I knew I found the right person.
Wow.
Oh, thanks.
So, but I was very vague about how I reached out to her because we own a business that promotes basically through word of mouth on Facebook. So I made sure I used a personal phone number. I used a personal email address, so that there was no correlation. I didn't even give her my last name, and I didn't tell her who I had lost. So fast forward to Thursday, our appointment. I let her know. I asked her. I didn't let her know. I asked her if my daughter could join us, and she said absolutely. So my daughter was recording everything, and we began. And she started. She introduced herself, let me know about her. Very friendly, very inviting, open, warm, and so we began the process. It was almost tear-jerking in what she knew that I had 2 sons and a daughter. I had lost a son recently, as in very recently. She went as far as saying that a red truck. She had no idea that I was on scene because I went looking for him and my red truck.
Oh my gosh.
That was huge, and then there was a lot of this person came to get him. But my daughter recorded it, and at 24 minutes into the reading, she's talking about a grandfather figure taking him to the other side. He stopped. He looks up and goes, "Who's Anthony?" That's my other son. We didn't mention his name. We didn't say anything about him.
Wow.
And it was beyond insane. And then, so there was more of that. And so we were just enthralled and knowing that he was with us. The other 2 factors that night were, she asked me, would you like to ask him a question? And everyone's looking for a specific answer, and you may or may not get it, and that's okay. But I said, what about music? And so she says to me, well, I'm talking to him, and he's mentioning a band, but I don't know if it's because I like the band or if it means something to you. And I said, what's the band? And we're expecting a certain band, and she says the band Train. And I went, holy blank bomb. And she's like, why? And I said, we sat 3 rows front and center for him in July of 2019.
Wow.
And she goes, she wants you to play Calling All Angels. And that's what I opened with. And if you listen to it, the opening line is, give me a sign that you're here. And the other eye-opening that
That's
made us
incredible.
a believer was through the reading, she said to us, I'm seeing elephants and turtles for some reason. I don't know why I'm seeing elephants and turtles. And I look over at my daughter, who's in tears, and says, I said, Abby, and she goes, those are my 2 favorite animals. I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh.
And those are, that goes beyond skepticism, that goes beyond, okay, I got to let you guess. It was, without a doubt, that night was the first night I had slept through the night without waking up in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. It's them. I always say it's the other side. They know what to do to give that peace and messages. So
that's incredible.
JJ.
And that's what, that's what this is all about. Amy and I hope that we can help people by letting them know their loved ones, they are absolutely with us, and we are absolutely going to see them again. And it's a much nicer way to live in this world, knowing that. But
it is.
Yeah, that's incredible. So any other memories you have of something that Amy said that either came true later or that?
So we did my daughter's birthday, because the first reading was in late July. My daughter's birthday was in early April, and we took her to Cocoa Beach to go skydiving, and we did another reading that afternoon. And so I actually had my 9-year-old with me for it. And so there was a lot of signs that Amy was talking about, and she kept saying porcupine, as in you use the ends to each other. That night we went to a restaurant across from our hotel who recommended this mini golf go-kart place down the way. We go down there, and the guy had like these quartz stones and these rocks, and sure enough, there were porcupines for sale. And then even myself pointing out that everything that she mentioned, it was true, whether with everything she was saying, and it was mind. I wasn't as surprised because I know she's good,
Right.
so I know she's great. So but it was amazing for me to watch him talk to her for the first time, or listen to her talk, and then see the signs that are there.
Wow.
Was that
Wow.
the sailboat, the sailboats in the other room? I remember the sailboat picture. That came to my mind. Just there was a sailboat picture and then the cards.
In fact, there was a boat in your room, and I didn't go into my daughter's room. We gave her her own bedroom, and then my little one and I shared a room, and there was a picture of a boat in her room. And she talked about it was uncannily amazing.
Wow, that's great. I just love skeptics, Jonathan, because I used to be one. I don't know if you listened to our first show yet or not, but I was a skeptic my entire life until something happened to me, and it just, at some point you realize it's statistically impossible to be that good of a guesser.
Yeah, you can't just these things, and it actually shocks me sometimes because I'm amazed by the other side and how they give the messages, and whether it be symbols or however they do it. But I also am amazed when they tell me what a tattoo is going to look like, that there's no way in hell I would even think of that, or a specific song. There's no way I would know that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's it's, and again, everybody is a critic, and when I would tell people, they would, oh, okay, whatever helps you sleep at night, or if it helps you make you better, and then I would play the recording and their mouths would hit the floor, because you both are correct. Statistically, it's not possible to get things right, because the red truck, we were FaceTiming.
Wow.
No way I'd drive a red truck, let alone went to the accident scene. He was there. He was in. So, and then the three big signs that we got, prior, the week after he passed, were, she detailed what exactly they were. Where I had a service call at a church directly in front of the accident a week later. So it's, and she talked about that. So those are all beyond skeptics, but you have to experience it to understand what I'm referring to in real time. But it is absolutely refreshing to know that he's safe, he's happy, and he's watching over us.
Absolutely.
Did you get your
go ahead. Well, thank you so much for calling in. Of course, my heartfelt condolences to you. Glad Amy could help a little bit. Hi, so we have a very dear friend of mine, Suzanne, on our Zoom. And Suzanne and Amy actually were both instrumental in me learning my abilities. Suzanne always encouraged me, and she believed in me before I think even I believed in me. And I get people from Suzanne, her father, her grandmother, stronger than anyone else. They come to me all the time. We've only known each other a couple of years, and I sort of think part of the reason we know each other is because people up there wanted us to connect. So
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Suzanne, do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about some of the readings and how all of this transpired between us?
Sure. Knowing that Amy was starting this, she did a couple of readings for me and we had fun with it. She was pretty much spot on, pretty much every time she read for me. And she was amazing herself. She was like, really? That was really? And then unfortunately, I went through a really difficult time in my life. I lost my father. And I really can't talk too much about that. But seriously, the only reason I made it through that was through Amy. You know, she gave me about 3 weeks of, you know, just being a friend and not really going there. And then she finally texted me and she said, I don't know if you're ready for this, but can I talk to you? I'd like to do a reading. I think I have your dad. Well, it's been almost a year. It's not actually quite a year. May 22nd will be a year that he's passed. And there's been some really, really dark times in my life going through this. And it's amazing. It's not that I reach out to her. She reaches out to me and says, do you have time? Are you driving? Can we talk when you're on your way to work? Can we talk when you get home? Can I come over and have a glass of wine? I have messages. And it's typically from my father. And it's anybody that's out there, if you know somebody who you really truly believe is a true, authentic person that can do this, if you go through a really difficult death, I will tell you it's the only thing that saved me. I tell her all the time, seriously, I would not have made it through. I would not have made it through. And it was, whether it was something as simple as her just, my dad having a memory of something silly, you know, and telling me about it and that he's happy, down to, he apparently was with me and she said, did you recently, you let your dogs out and you recently were standing in your driveway, you had a glass of wine in your hand and you were looking up at the heavens and you were just so broken and so hurt. And I looked at her, I was like, yeah, that was 2 nights ago. I remember it very much because I was, in my mind, I was talking to him like, why did you leave?
And
So-
where are you? That's another big question. Where the
I'm sorry?
hell, right? Where are you?
Yes.
And why did you
Yes.
leave? And
Yeah.
it's like, but we know.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, and one of the first times that she actually read me with my dad, she really shocked herself and me that she could come up with this. And is it okay if I share this story?
Definitely.
of course. I have to just say, as the outsider person to this, and as a psychic medium, I have to say, I'm so sorry for your loss. There is nothing I wish if there is anything ever I could do to take away the pain from someone's grief, I would do it. We need that grief. It's part of it and they understand it and they are with us 100% in spirit and on the other side. So no matter what and how many years I have done what I've done and how many people I want to help and how many people I would like Amy to help, and she will. It's something that will help people understand that their loved one is not as far as they think and they are on the other side, but the other side is like a bridge. It's almost like it's right here. Their spirit is here and they could be on the other side doing what they need to do. They will be watching you. So she will tell you things and I may tell you things that are something that you're doing right now and talk about people that are in the 3D world and living that you're experiencing, because so they want to let you know that they're with you. They're guiding you, they're protecting you, they're loving you, they are helping you to get through that pain so that eventually you will be able to smile and laugh. And that's what they really want in the end. They want you to go through your journey and live your life exactly the way it's supposed to be. And they're with you until you meet them again, which you will.
Yeah.
So again, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And I would love to hear your story.
Well, the first time she gave me some messages, and I don't know if my father just thought that I wasn't really fully getting everything because it was very difficult to hear because I was just, I'm not healed now and I still get to tears now, but I'm so much better than I was a year ago. But she said, okay, this is really weird. I don't really understand this, but I'm just going to say it because I'm supposed to just say what they tell me.
That's
And she said, okay, you have a drawer in your closet. Okay. in the drawer, there's clothes, but somewhere in there, there is a note, and it's on yellow lined legal paper. And it's your hand, it's a note from your father to you. Does that make sense to you? And I lost it. I said, oh my God, you have no idea. She said, what? And I said, yeah, it's a note that he wrote to me like 10 years ago. I was at his house for the week, and he was always famous for putting little notes in my luggage, my purse, my car. So for weeks later, I would always pick out a note and go, oh, Dad, you're so funny. And I'd call him. And it was a note to me from him. And at the bottom, it said, I love you, and I'm always so proud of you, Do. He called me Do. But I said, yeah, actually, there is a note there. Nobody knows that that's there but me. I never told her. Well, you don't tell your friend that.
No.
And she goes, are you kidding me? I said, yeah, I was actually just reading it this morning when I was getting my skirt out of my drawer. I saw it, and I was standing there and I was reading it, crying. And she goes, he was with you and he was hugging you.
At that exact same time.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that was, and she's, Amy is just, she's brought me so much joy, which to listeners, that's just going to sound completely ridiculous. How are you going through joy when you've lost your father, who is my closest person other than my son and my husband to me? But it does. She brings me a lot of joy. It brings me a lot of comfort. Things that I'm worried about, my grandmother knows, my father knows, they come through to me through Amy. I love it when my phone says Amy. I'm like, oh, she's got something.
Got something. Yeah, well, they're all together on the other side, and they all are watching you. So they know what's going on, and they're helping. They are there. So we're just the conduit. We're just the medium. That's why they say they come down because their frequency is so high and just like unbelievable from the other side. And we are in the 3D. So we have to lift ourselves and then meet in the middle, hence medium. So when we get the messages, it's almost like we have to give them.
I remember for some reason, he always seems to be with me when I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking something. And I remember one time you said, did you make spaghetti recently? And I said, no. You said, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I haven't made spaghetti. But then you said, well, he was with you. You were in the kitchen, you were at the stove, and you had the big thing. And I was like, oh, we made soup. I made a big thing of soup, but it was in the big spaghetti colander, container. It was because the last time I remember I was driving to work and I pulled over into a vacant shopping center so we could finish the conversation. But you kept saying something and I was like, oh my God, I just told them that. I've been telling them that for 2 days. To next time you did a reading for you to say that word. So I knew they were with me when I was saying it and they communicated to you, and it's still them coming through.
Yes. Yes. And how much did that help you? I mean, did that really, it helps through the grief process, and it helps through the rest of your life to understand that your loved ones are with you and that your dad's with you. It had to.
We joke all the time because her father comes to me so often that I'm like, Suzanne, your dad has a crush on me.
Maybe
leave me alone.
He might. You
Yeah.
could tell him what to do too, like boss him around.
Amy,
Use
how
your
do
boss.
you feel about doing a little reading for Suzanne right now?
I can try anyway.
Okay.
Who's George? George. I'm just gonna write names. I'm just gonna tell you whatever he says.
Okay.
And I Steven, and it could be last names. They don't care. They like first names, last names. It could be people that they knew from the past.
Did you say Stephen?
Mm-hmm.
That's my father's middle name.
They love middle names. I don't know why. Would be a mistake? Is that why? They love that. Okay. 1974 was important, so it could be 19 or 74, and it could be ages. I feel like it's a date, but if it's not a date and it could be your code to get into your, I'm not getting into your code, I promise. I'm not doing that. But 19, so it could be an age, 74 or 19, something important. Do you have kids?
Yes.
Okay, so, okay, so he's talking about that. I feel a son, like I feel a male.
Yes. I think 1974 was my father's safe combination that I was supposed to get in when he passed, and I was never allowed that opportunity.
Oh, so maybe we shouldn't say this out loud, but I
No.
mean, people.
There's no more safe. It's gone.
Okay, so we can say it's okay. So they're telling you the code. He just is saying that. He's talking about music a lot. But he's also talking about you and your mom, like, I mean, your mom and him, but I'm seeing a disconnect. So that either means that they were living separately, or they were divorced, or there was something separate. There was a, so even if we didn't like them that much, or they didn't like us, doesn't really necessarily matter, because there's a different way on the other side. Even if it was a horrible person, people ask me lots of times, what if we hated the person? Like, what if the person was awful? And I always say, well, on the other side, they're working with the angels to try to be better. They usually say, I'm sorry, and I'm working on it. All right, so, okay, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna go on. So who's Robert, Rob, or Bob? Robert,
That's my grandfather.
okay.
He has not come through yet.
Well, he just did. So
Oh.
he's with them as well. So, oh, okay. So he's cute as hell. What to say, because I don't know. They show themselves in a certain way, but he should. Okay, he's showing the East Coast. So I see like New Jersey or New York area, and then and he's showing me, like, I don't know what he does. I don't know if he does something with leather, fur, fixing things, doing things. He's using his hands.
Amy, you are awesome. He worked in a printing shop for 30 years and retired. So he was always with his hands, with the printer, the big thing, and that's always what he did.
So he's proud of that as well. I feel like also that he was did something with, I don't know, he's showing me service. So when they show me a picture of themselves wearing like service, like Navy, whatever, service, Air Force, when they salute, I always know that that's a sign for me that somebody was in the Army Reserve.
He was in the Army.
So
he was in the Army.
So he might start talking about people that were in the Army that were with him, that are with him now. And that's okay, because they're like together, but they're also doing what they need to do on the other side. And they're also here. They could be here in spirit and help you with the things that you need. So know that your grandfather, is this maternal?
Yes.
Okay. So I feel like it's maternal, but your mom is here.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. So he watches over her too. Do you have a brother?
Yes.
Okay. Was he not there at the passing? Does he live somewhere else? I feel like he was not there.
He was not there.
Okay. So just your dad is kind of saying, I don't know, don't be guilty, don't feel bad. I didn't want you to be there. It wasn't supposed to be that way. Like the soul knows when it's going to come, when it's going to go, who's supposed to be around you. Sometimes they want people around them, and then at that moment of the last breath, they don't want those certain people to be there.
He waited for us to go to sleep. We
Yeah,
finally, at like 1 o'clock in the morning, we two of us slept in a big bed next to where he was in his hospital bed.
Okay.
And I had just dozed off. I woke up 40 minutes later and I was like, oh my God, he's gone. What? How did I miss it?
No, all-knowing thing. So they're seeing what's happening, but at the same time, and when I lied with my mother in her deathbed in hospice, I said, show me. I said, you've known me for years, and when I was little, and I said, oh, so what happens when you die? Because I kind of already knew things, but she said, I think you just go to sleep. And I said, that's not what grandma says. So she was like, really? You're so lucky. And they never made fun of that or didn't she's still. So in that moment when she was passing, and it took 8 days in hospice, it's very difficult. But I lied next to her. I said, show me what you see. Show me what you feel. Let me know. There was no pain. I just saw what she felt, and she was in between here and there. And the people that greet you, or the ones that bring you to the other side, are not that far away. So, I mean, we think that everything is so far away, but we don't understand, because I think our minds don't get that. I mean, our minds are 1 to 4% of seeing matter. So imagine what we aren't seeing.
So Aim, during our break a few minutes ago, I was trying to get your mother, and I think
Hi, Mom.
she knows you're going through a lot. She said something about roses. I don't know what's going on. If you planted roses recently.
Maybe she's with my Aunt Rose, one.
Okay.
And also, I just went to the mausoleum to see her, and I've only been there 2 years ago, because I know that the spirit is everywhere. So I don't usually have the urge to go where the body is, but my car just pulled in there, and I even knew exactly where the spot was without even looking it up. So I think that she knew I was there and explaining things to her. So it was very emotional. And I'll tell next time also about the other mausoleum story. So I know she's with me now.
Yeah, she is. So we're going to take our last. Sure. We have another email. We got a few of them.
Okay.
But I picked out my favorite. So her question is, are my loved ones okay on the other side? Are they with my other family and friends? And are they watching us? So I can answer a little bit of that. Question. As far as are they together on the other side, that is something that I'm 100% not skeptic about, because I cannot tell you the number of times I've done readings and I just randomly mention a name. Who's Michael? Who's Catherine? Who's Rose? Rose, what's a Rose? That's my uncle. That's my aunt. That was our best friend. And I say to them, what they don't seem to understand is that's not coming from me. Their loved one is saying to me, Michael, whatever the person's name is, because they're with them. They're up there. They're with them.
We're just the medium. We're the conduits that get the information and give it to them.
Right. Because some people say, why do you just randomly say names?
I do that too. I say the names.
Well, it helps verify we're not making all this stuff up too.
It is a good way to validate that, because especially if you have several, it's like my cousin, this person is with them on the other side with their loved one. Yes, it does help. And they are together.
They are. I always see my mother and my grandfather, and I always see people together. And I tell you, they are always having a good time. Every time I am channeling. I had a kind of an interesting situation. My grandfather, my mother was very sick, and I just was constantly seeing him. And every time I saw him, he was kneeling on one leg, and he would have like his hands over his face. And I was seeing that constantly. And about 2 days before my mother died, I remember seeing him. He was dancing, laughing, and having just so happy. And I'm like, I don't get it. Why would he look so happy when my poor mother is suffering and gonna die any minute? And then it dawned on me that he's gonna be with her again. Maybe he was just excited that she was gonna be up there.
I bet. Yes, and when they come to greet you from the other side and bring you to the other side, it's probably like a big party. I've had dreams where I actually saw the whole group. It was a big Cuban party, and I was there with my husband, and everybody that was there were dancing, and it was just crazy. And I realized that it was my neighbor's family. So I had to call them the next day and tell them, I had a dream all about your family, your mother, your father, everyone, but you guys weren't there. And then it dawned on me that it was because it was from the other side, that those were all the people that had passed on and transitioned to the other side together partying. And the only people that were in the 3D were me and my husband that were
No
there.
COVID up there.
It just so happened when I called him and told him that it was his parents' anniversary that exact day. So that was really cool for him too, for them.
Yeah, that is amazing.
They always say the same thing. Like you said, they were dancing around. When I ask the guides and angels the questions, they're always dancing and happy. And they always give the same kind of
thing.
They give the same answers all the time.
Yeah.
We could be here in spirit and on the other side. And they're always laughing. It's almost like they're just laughing. They just think that this is just, so much the 3D world, and they could be here, they could be there, but they aren't that far away. So material things also aren't a huge thing for them, but they can watch us. They know what's happening.
Oh yeah. Crazy how much they know what's happening, actually.
They always say, this is a great one that I always remember. Don't be afraid of death, but even more so, don't be afraid of living. And that's a message I give everybody, because it was a major one for me.
So Amy, this was a great show. I really enjoyed it.
Me too.
And our next show will be just as great. Our next show is going to be all about you, the audience. We are going to spend all of our time, almost all of our time, trying to teach you about how we developed our skills and to give you pointers and help you get better.
It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter where you began your experience or journey, but you will find something that you will learn that will make you become a little bit more ascended, a little bit more open to it, and a little bit more psychic.
Right? There are tricks. There are things that we've learned that will absolutely help you. So looking forward to your tuning in.
I'm gonna sign off today with be open, expecting, accepting, and trusting, and practice. Until next time.
Okay. Bye.
Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.